No nipple in frame, so YouTube shouldn't demonetize me. Anyway, let's get to why'd I just shake my head like I got hair on my head like I'm somebody special. I'm just bald and coping. Let's get into the Q&A. General thoughts on JM press versus skull crusher for tricep development and bench press carryover. For bench press carryover, I really just pick a tricep movement, and if it doesn't bother your elbows and it doesn't cause tendonitis issues and it's comfortable to do it, pick that one. I think just general tricep strength and development, in terms of looking to build your triceps, is going to be where it's at. If we're talking about like movements for direct carryover, obviously I'm going to gravitate towards like close grip bench press or a close grip incline bench press, things like that. If we're talking like direct carryover, but when we're getting away from like the movements that are like bench press itself, pretty much. I don't think it matters a whole lot in terms of developing the triceps, just as long as you're hitting it. So I think that's one of those things where it's, majoring in the minors. Pick the one that feels best to you, that you want to attack the most, and you enjoy doing the most, and do that one. And after 6, 8, 12, 16, 20 weeks of that, do the other one. Be able to blast gear with no negative side effects, or be natural but you're immune to injuries while training. I'm taking the training immunity to injuries all day, every day. As somebody who's been snapped up and injured a time or two, the appeal to that, and I can just go train balls to the fucking wall whenever I want to, that would just make me supremely happy with training, even if ultimately my ceiling was lower than being on gear with no negative side effects. I don't care. Like the immunity to injury, I would do so much goofy ass fucking stupid shit and train for like 5 hours straight with little to no rest periods. Yeah, immunity to injuries, easily. That's like not even close. Any suggestions dealing with biceps tendonitis? Work destroys mine and keeps me from benching at OHP. Um, are you still? You used to train dogs last time I remember. I don't know what you're doing for work these days. It's been some years. I know James in real life. Extensor training I found to be extremely helpful. My extensor things are at work on my desk, but I've shown them. I get all my clients to get them too. They're like $8 or $9 on Amazon. They're these little rubber finger extensors that your fingers go in the holes and you train them outward. And aside from load management and stuff, you said work destroys yours, so you have obligations there of what you got to do. So load management isn't really a thing. That's usually what we'd look to with lifting weights. Obviously, whatever's causing the tendonitis, you need to identify and stop or modify. With work, you may or may not be able to do that. But you get these little extensor trainers because we're so much grabbing, pulling, squeezing, just in training itself. Whatever you're doing as a job, you're probably in day to day life. We're not really training our extensors either. So I found that to be extremely helpful, and it's so cheap and such low hanging fruit that I would go ahead and grab a pair, and I'll just, when I'm at work at my desk, just randomly, hit like a set of 20 and then hold on number 20 and it's the bands are resisting, of course, and I'll hold it out as long as I can, and I've found that to be super duper helpful. And of course, like just some really light dumbbells and doing some hammer curls, getting blood through the area, has always been helpful for me too. I've benched 5 times a week before. I've even after benching 500 pounds, like I've done meet preps where I was benching 3 times a week. Um, and I did a whole meet prep, where I touched 500 pounds every session 3 times a week leading into the meet. And I never really had tendonitis issues, and I attribute a lot of that to the hammer curls. And then later on, getting those extensor trainers have helped a whole lot. Thoughts on wrist wraps for general bench training, and what do I think about reverse grip variations? Well, I mean, wrist wraps, it's not a necessity, but again, that's another one of those things they're so cheap. Just grab a pair, and they help keep your wrists neutral. And they maybe can add to the longevity of your training, or even placebo give you more confidence when handling heavier weights. I like to be able to. I do use wrist wraps when I'm benching. When I get over 3 plates, I put on wrist wraps. But sometimes I'll do blocks without them, just here and there. I like to make sure that I'm not dependent on things. And in the case of I get in a pinch and I'm out and about somewhere and I go to a gym and I don't have my gym bag with me, I can still get in a good session or whatnot and not need them and not feel like they're training wheels. They're not going to add weight to the bar, like I said, unless placebo give you a little confidence boost. But they're fine. Like, absolutely, grab a pair of wrist wraps. Reverse grip can be great for triceps. Can be a lot easier on the shoulders. It's not something I do. I've tried a couple times. It feels awkward, and at this point, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze for me personally. But I've seen a lot of people transition to it, and somebody like Jimmy Kolb does most of his work, reverse grip when he's doing raw presses. He benches in a shirt, obviously, but yeah, it can be fun. It's something different. Like, just do it. Like, again, it's not bad. There's no real inherent bad movements. There are bad applications for some movements. But just try it and see what you think, man. If you are a late intermediate who is trying to push overall development, how many / which exercises would you do strength periodization on max per week? How many which exercises would you do strength? I don't quite get what you're saying there. How many exercises would you do strength periodization? So how many total exercises would I periodize for strength? So I think I get it now. I'm not gonna edit it. Y'all are gonna see all my fucking brain farts. Okay, I get it. General development, I'd probably pick like one upper, one lower, and however many weeks you want to push the strength on it, 8, 10, 12, 16, whatever the case may be, and use other movements as supplementary. Again, you're a late intermediate, and so your lower, maybe it's a deadlift, and your squats are going to be kind of in sort of a maintenance mode. You're still going to practice them. You're still going to develop some hypertrophy from them, but you're not going to push them as hard as you're going to push your deadlifts at the time being. Say upper body, say you want to push your OHP more, so you're going to do that, and maybe your weighted chin-ups, you'll go back to more of a maintenance with them, and your bench press will take a back seat to your OHP. Things like that. I think 2. You could maybe 3, but once you start to get that late intermediate, early advanced, it's really hard. It's really kind of hard to make 2, of them move at the same time, much less 3. But I would say 2 tops. Like I said, one lower, one upper. And maybe if you really want to push one, even just one, but I'd say 2 tops. What you said, you're trying to push overall development. So I would still try to push an upper and a lower, and then put everything else, make them either like on some sort of maintenance, or, pick variations that'll supplement the weak areas of the 2 that you're trying to push at the moment. Sorry it took me a while to grasp the syntax of your question there, but which hand is your pimp hand, and what's something new you've learned since you started coaching people? This is a natural motion, so definitely my right hand. Just with the quickness, just moves so naturally. I could probably train my left too, and just I don't know, it's pretty good. Yeah, right feels way more natural. So since coaching people, something new I've learned. And I've always had this thought, but it's only been reinforced now that I've been doing it for over a year. And it's communication, man. Like, programming, you're gonna have to. It's simple. Programming is easy, but you do have to learn the lifter, and different people it's mostly the same, but different people respond differently to similar stimuluses, and you got to find and it comes with that communication, and it's really like getting somebody to buy in and attack the programming. And I think that's so much more important than the programming itself. Don't get me wrong, there's something to the programming and certainly being intelligent with that, but it is so much a communication thing, like building that rapport. And I like even like in person. I'd like to get to doing more in person stuff. Because then you get to see the visual cues and in real time. With online coaching, it's sort of past tense. Like they send you the videos and you look at the videos and stuff, so you don't get to preemptively do it. But even in just talking, be it through voice notes or text, you get to know somebody. The language they use when they're excited, when they're feeling good, when they're feeling down, and you can kind of make adjustments based on that, and with kind of what questions they ask you going into a session or how they're talking to you the day of. You can kind of tell them, hey, like maybe dial it back this session a little bit, or I gave you an AMRAP here, but maybe hold 2 or 3 reps in the tank instead. Just again, based on the questions and stuff that they're asking. But yeah, it's communication is such a big deal and goes further than just putting a program on paper and sending it. Do you do any incidental training such as diamond push-ups, tree pull-ups, or broad jumps while on break at work? So I actually have a power rack at my work, and a barbell and weights. So I do like whole sessions at work, but sometimes I do like just when I'm walking to the back or something, I'll hit a set of pull-ups or something on my rack. I don't really do broad jumps or anything at work. Like if I'm gonna do like plyometric stuff, I need to warm up. I'll be 39 next month, so I'm not just gonna broad jump down the hallway or anything like that. But yeah, sometimes I'll just grab the barbell and just do a set of reverse curls or something like that. So I do. It's not obviously it's not structured or anything, or it wouldn't be incidental training. But yes, there is some of that gets done at work. I've got an ab wheel under my desk. I'll hit an ab wheel sometimes. I keep a dumbbell under my desk. I've got my finger extensors on my desk. So yeah, there's a little bit of that gets done. Good luck. Good luck with your weighted push-ups and Smolov Jr. Pissy 4476. Fumble this girl. How do I get over it? It's just hard to focus on other stuff. How do I ignore it? How do I go ignore it? A wise man once said, "To get over someone, you get under someone else." There is some efficacy to that. I can assure you that. I am recently divorced. I was with my wife for 17 years. And, that's a big hit when it happens. But we move on. And, it's the feeling is temporary. Like the feeling of loss, it's temporary. It's hard to grasp it at first because that is all you think about. And you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to feel this again. But it's great. Life goes on. Life gets better if you make it better. You got to have a positive outlook about things. You control your own destiny. We don't control everything that happens to us or around us, but we do control how we react to everything around us. So keep that in mind. Stay busy. Uh, you know, that was the biggest thing for me at first was staying busy. Like I had never cleaned my house so much and to such great detail. Um, just to stay busy, just to keep my mind from wandering. Throw on some music, not sad music. maybe a day or two, the sad boy music. Turn on some '90s R&B and let it out and sing it with your chest. But after that, you gotta change the music around. Like turn on some loud music though. Clean up your house. Get a fresh haircut. Buy a new pair of clothes. Just fill yourself with newness. Like think of it as turning a new leaf, a new chapter. As corny as it sounds, um, but surround yourself with new and excitement and stay busy. like, for fuck's sake, stay busy, because you don't want to dwell. And man, it gets better. I promise you, it gets better. Yes, I still have the suit that's in the picture. I cannot fit that suit. I was like 185 pounds back then, so definitely not able to put it back on. Did you develop your tricep strength from pimp slapping or vice versa? No, there definitely was no pimp slapping. I'm not a violent man. What's been the minimum and maximum number of exercises you programmed yourself per day? I mean, I've gone to the gym in a day and like fucking done everything just because that's how I'm wired. It certainly wasn't like something I set out to program myself that. Um, but you know, every now and then you have those days. I'm not a gym is therapy person. Therapy is therapy. But sometimes you got to go let it out. And you know, I've had days where like I've done squats, benches, deadlifts, overhead press, chin ups, planks, extensions, farmer's carries, jump rope, and you know everything. As far as what else did you ask? And minimally on the other end of it, like one, like I've just done bench press before, or I've just done squat before. Um, so I've done the spectrum. Typically, a typical day, like if I'm just like for CrossFit, I'll do like on a lower body day, I'll do like a squat, then a plyo, then a deadlift, or sometimes it's a plyo, then a squat, then a deadlift. But more times than not, it's squat, plyo, deadlift, and then I'll do like some conditioning, strongman type stuff, farmer's carry, something like that, loaded carries basically, and then like bodybuilding style accessory work, leg extensions, hamstring curls, probably hit a set of reverse hypers, and then go hit the elliptical machine. That'd be like typical CrossFit. Powerlifting, if it was for that, again, it would be like a squat, then a deadlift. And depending upon like day one would be heavy squat, lighter deadlift, and then like bodybuilding style accessories. And then day two would be like a lighter squat, obviously with days in between, of course. But day two lower body would be lighter squat than a heavier deadlift or hinge, whatever phase I'm in, and then like bodybuilding style accessories. Which WWE stars do you think could have been great strongmen besides the one who did it, like Mark Henry? Kane, yeah, Kane. It was fucking strong as fuck. He was also super safe and really good in ring worker. Maybe the greatest like big man in ring worker ever. Um, who else? Uh, who is just on the tip of my phone? Brock Lesnar. You know, he's just a fucking mutant. I think he could have probably done pretty well in strongman. Great, I don't now. Great, I don't know, maybe, but I think he could have done well. Um, there's probably a few more that are just slipping my mind. Of course, you know Bill Kazmaier was actually in WCW at one point. He was not a very good wrestler though. Who else was there? I'm trying to think. It's eluding me, and I'm gonna, you know, turn this video off and be like, "Fuck! Why didn't I think of that person?" Will I ever compete in strongman? I would like to. My gym usually does 2 or 3 strongman events a year. It's something, if schedules lined up, I would probably do it. There was one last year that I really wanted to do, and it had events that suited me really well. But it was not long after me and my ex split up, and I didn't have nobody to watch my son, and I could probably have taken him with me, but when I'm competing, like I like to hyper focus, and that's one of my strong points in competition. Is that ability to focus, and with having him there, I wouldn't have had that same focus, and it would have distracted me, and I don't think I could have done it. Alex Leonidas recently said in one of his archive shorts that there's no point in doing Larson press for novices. Do you agree? By the way, is shoulder popping on close grip bench something to worry about? You mean like popping, just like making a little popping noise? It's something I would pay attention to. It's not something you want to have happening. And again, it's something I would look at, like, you know, is there mobility issues, or, what's going on there? Am I out of whack a little bit? Because that's certainly not. I would worry a little bit about it, yes, and try to get to the root cause of it. As far as no point in Larson press for novices, the longer I go, the longer I've been in it and doing this, the less like those polarizing sort of statements I agree with. To say, I rarely program Larson presses for any of my lifters. Um, However, there's like most exercises, there's a time and a place, and there's no context here to this question. Like I don't know the specific lifter other than they're a novice. Like I don't know what else is going on with them. To say there's no point, what if there's an injury? What if there's a lower body injury? That's the only way they can bench press. It like would be Larson press or maybe a floor press. But even floor press would present issues getting up and down if there's some injury preventing them from using their legs on bench pressing. Uh, so no, I don't really agree that there's no point in novices doing it. I would say under special circumstances, it's fine. I mean, it's fine in general. If you want to do fucking Larson press, do Larson press. But it's not like the first movement I would go to um, until they have a better grasp of the bench press. Now, if they're uh, you know never bench press novice, obviously you're not going to jump straight to Larson presses. I would rather they learn bench press first. But if they've built somewhat decent proficiency in bench pressing, and they want to do it as like a secondary movement or something like that, I'm not going to tell them no. Again, I probably wouldn't program it to them either, but it's fine. Didn't you say you lived with Jamaicans for a bit? I'm Caribbean and would love to hear the full story. So I lived with Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I've lived with Mexicans. I didn't live with Jamaicans, but my best friend growing up, she was Jamaican and she lived right behind me. So I would jump the house to go see her um, and hang out with her and her mom. Her mom was amazing. Her mom is like one of the coolest people ever. Um, like she would cook food and stuff. Like that's where I got introduced to like jerk chicken and curry goat and food like that, and it was absolutely amazing. Um, so shout out Miss Pamela. Absolutely amazing woman. I ended up like her car broke down when I was in high school, and it was at the mechanic for a week, and I ended up giving her rides to work, and it was nice to provide some sort of help and service for this lady who let me in her house and treated me like family, and shout out Tiffany, my best friend growing up. Um, yeah, just hanging out with them was cool. And as far as like living with Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and stuff, it's great. I got to get some of their culture. When I got kicked out of my house, I was 17. I was still in high school. I ended up moving in with this Mexican lady that was friends with my mom, but she lived like 45 minutes away from my school. And then who would become my best friend later in life, the dude who spots me in my video that for some reason has like 600,000 views, ended up being my training partner and stuff later in life. But I stayed the night at his house a couple times, and then his mom, which he's Puerto Rican and black, his mom was Puerto Rican, and he lived with his mom and stayed there a couple nights, and because he was closer to the school, and his mom was like, hey, look, as long as you do chores and stuff here, you can stay here till you finish school. You don't gotta pay rent or nothing like that. So I ended up moving in with there, and then his grandparents from Puerto Rico ended up moving up and living there too, and that was absolutely amazing. Every morning when I woke up before school, his grandma would make coffee, and she would make it over the stove. And so I would get like this really good stove top coffee with a big Goya cracker, like every morning before I went to school, and then every night like just homemade meals, like arroz con gandules with everything, bacalao, pork, you name it. Um, just absolutely amazing. They made flan, and it was fantastic. Great experience. His grandpa was funny as fuck, and we'd sit out on the porch and smoke cigars with him, and yeah, it was absolutely great. Uh, Fast forward like 8 years or so from then, I was living up here in Tennessee. That was in Florida, and him and his baby mama is Dominican. They moved up here into this house with me and my ex, and lived with us for 2 or 3 years until she got pregnant. Not my ex, but his now ex got pregnant with their second child, and there just wasn't enough room in the house. But again, living with them and you know Jennifer, she would cook for us. Make Dominican food and stuff, and yeah, it's fucking great. Like I love people and sharing cultures, and yeah, just all around, it was great experiences. Being able to live with different people of different backgrounds. He my man Adam, my best friend, my son calls him uncle. His kids call me uncle. We still hang out and chill and shit. Like he babysits for me, I babysit for him. Now that we're both single dads and all that stuff. Well, I'm not single no more. I'm a dad who's separated from his baby mama. But yeah, it's good times. How to start doing box jump and that stuff without affecting knee health. I mean, honestly, box jumps are pretty safe. I would just put them like in front of your lower body day. Like if you got a squat day or a deadlift day, if you separate those two, just do it in front of those. Work up to like 2 or 3 max effort box jumps as kind of a pseudo warm up. Just be careful with getting down. Like I would step down at least at first, because like hopping down from the box, those landings, that will have an impact on you more than jumping up onto the box by far. And that's something where as you go on and get more advanced, you can program depth jumps in there and those landings. But if you're hopping off the box, you definitely need to take that into account. But just as far as just jumping up to the box and stepping down, it's not worth it to spam it, but it's pretty spammable, to be honest with you. So, like I said, work up to a couple explosive, max, near max effort box jumps before your lower body day gets going, and just build out from there. Peace!